So here we are again, I'm back with another potentially spicy take in this video, but most importantly, I want to know what you think about this subject. So please comment down below as we dive into the Elimination Chamber. Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about the Elimination Chamber match type, and is it actually any good? That's the question I'm putting right out there up front. But before we dive into that, please hit subscribe, please like this video, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, because I want to know what you think about this topic. So let's dive into it. We are talking the Elimination Chamber, a match that has been around for maybe about 20 years, I think. Coming up to 20 years or just surpassing 20 years. I can't remember the exact date the first Elimination Chamber was. And it was pretty revolutionary at the time. It was this big sort of reinvention of mixing the Royal Rumble with Hell in a Cell. Seemed good on paper. However, recent years, it has become something of a afterthought. You know, it all starts when they name a premium live event after a match stipulation. Hell in a Cell, Money in the Bank to a lesser extent, TLC. The match type becomes watered down. Is that what has happened with Elimination Chamber? I think yes. I do not think the Elimination Chamber is actually that great of a match type. So why I think this? So let me gather my thoughts. Particularly in recent memory, it's not been used as a way to further stories. And the matches themselves aren't actually that good. There's a lot of standing around, there's a lot of waiting, and there isn't actually any surprises, which is what the Royal Rumble always has the advantage of. Everyone knows who's in the chamber and what's going to happen. It's more so played out for an angle. Like, the most memorable parts of Elimination Chamber matches are angles, in my opinion. Shawn Michaels coming up through the grate and costing The Undertaker is one. Edge getting himself in the main event by taking out Kofi. Brilliant. The only ones that sort of have the story behind them that I can remember, I think the Daniel Bryan one and the Kofi one, that had a bit of a story to it. But it's the same story as Royal Rumble. It's usually someone lasting from number one till the very end in this steel structure. And it's not the most captivating of storytelling device, because we've just seen that play out at a pay-per-view a month ago. So it's a bit sort of redundant in that way. And the actual action is a bit fumbly, a bit messy at times. The spots are a bit repeated. Like, how many times can you see someone get thrown off the top of a pod or jump off the top of the pod? MVP was doing it back in 2008. And that's the same thing that we're getting again and again and again. I think an absolutely brilliant Elimination Chamber match is the one that Shayna Baszler won in 2019. I think that is the way to structure an Elimination Chamber match and make someone look like a star. That was completely different, completely fresh, and really showcased, okay, different things can be done with this stipulation. You had them playing about with it, having 7 people in it, starting as a triple threat, and just trying to make it, you know, work when it doesn't particularly work anymore, in my opinion. And I think that's shown. I think it's shown that they don't have a lot of confidence in this event, when last year's bloody thing was the shortest matches ever in the lifespan of the Elimination Chamber. So I'm hoping right now that they can get that back on track. I'm hoping they tell some interesting stories involving the US Championship this year and involving the Raw Women's Championship. But I think it needs a fresh reboot, and I think the best way to do that is to move the show. I do not think in the slightest that Elimination Chamber should be positioned in between WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. Not at all. It should be moved to, at least, I would say, the show before SummerSlam or the show after SummerSlam. I think it makes much more sense to be there, because it separates it from that match that has already paved the way for the road to WrestleMania. Like, you don't necessarily need an Elimination Chamber for the United States Championship. You don't. You don't need one for a number one contenders for the Raw Women's Championship. I think you could easily add something else in there, just have like an elimination match or a fatal four-way or something like that, and you get the same effect, and then move the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view further down the line where you would get more stakes, because then you could have 2 matches, number one contenders matches for SummerSlam. Same way you have 2 Royal Rumble matches, number one contender for Mania. It just makes more sense in that sort of structure, in my opinion, and having it peppered here so close to each other is just doesn't work. Doesn't work for a Rumble by Elimination Chamber. But that begs the question, and this is the big question, has the Elimination Chamber ever actually been good? It has. Come on, it has been good. I think, back in the day, the older matches, the ones that Shawn Michaels won and that Triple H won, they were, good at the time, and they still hold up today. I've been rewatching some Chamber matches lately, and they do hold up, in my personal opinion, but I think they had a lot more ferocity and, blood, which, believe it or not, in this sort of ruthless environment that they present it as, does actually really help. And I think that is not necessarily needed, but it needs that urgency. It needs not to become complacent in regards to like Hell in a Cell right now. I think is having a proper resurgence, because you had a great match with Edge and Seth, which was fantastic, and you had Cody and Seth, which again, one of the best Hell in a Cell matches of all time. So that being used sparingly and not necessarily being wedged in an annoying place in the wrestling calendar works really well. So I think that's all it needs. It just needs some breathing room. We need to take a breath from Elimination Chamber and come up with some fresh concepts, fresh ideas, fresh stories we can tell within the chamber, and then we might be back onto a winning formula, in my opinion. So is the Elimination Chamber good? Yes, but spread it out. That's all you got to do. You just got to create that separation. Make us miss it. Make wrestling fans miss the Elimination Chamber. And then you'll win us back, because wrestling fans are the most fickle fans in the entire world. So yeah, that is my thought on the Elimination Chamber, and is it actually good? So yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll try and reply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.